and gentlemen. My name is Joe Engel, and I'm a Holocaust survivor. Never again can the free world stay and watch while millions of people went to the gas chambers. Never again can this happen. We all gathered here to remind ourselves what happened. 15 million people. And violence happened. In 1939, the Germans occupied Poland. I was then 11 years old. What they done, they made all Jews coming out to the marketplace, and they give us Yellow Star of David. And they took 150 fellas out, young boys, and they took them to the forest, and they shot them to death for no reason but on account of their religion and of their nationality. And everybody was in the marketplace. If a young lady, if a young woman was holding a baby in her arm, they pulled the baby out and they throw it out, and they pick them up and pick them with their magnets, the babies. They done all kind of things. It's impossible to believe it, what they done it. Our city was destroyed. Only 2 blocks left in the city. And we have no places to go. So we decided we're going to go to Warsaw. Warsaw was the capital of Poland, if you know. When we got there to Warsaw, it took us 2.5 days to get to Warsaw. When we got there, you hardly could find any shelter to move in. But after a while, we find some rooms, blowing up houses in cellars, 30, 40 people to one little room. At nighttime, the floor was not big enough for everybody to lay down at the same time. We had to take turns. And life was miserable. But after a while, they decided to make a ghetto for the Jews, to put all Jews in together in a ghetto. That took about 4 or 5 blocks and divide the tank, electric wires, and you couldn't go in and you couldn't go out, and they posted guards. Every morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, they make you come to get some food stamps. Every morning. And life was bitter. It's hard to explain how bitter this life was there. Because nobody would believe one human being could do to another one. You could see in the morning people laying outside dead. from starvation, from sickness, from all kind of things. And because you had the Gestapo watching you, the SS watch you, the army was there and they watch you. If they saw you, they called you over. They told you something. If you don't listen, they took and beat you up like hell. They beat you till you couldn't walk. A human being was not compared, was nothing. It's hard to explain. But after a while, they told the people in the ghetto, but 250,000 people was in the Warsaw ghetto. They told the people they're going to resettle them, to take all the soft goods as much as they can with them, and they're going to resettle. So from the beginning, they separated the families. The fathers from their kids, the kids from their fathers, all differential. So from the beginning, they took out the older people, and they took them to the railroad station. And they had some cattle trains waiting for them. And they pushed them in the cattle trains like sardines. You didn't have place for two legs. You only use one leg because you didn't have no place. That was number one. They selected all the people. And they shipped them off. But unfortunately, nobody came back. They all went, we presume, they all went to the gas chambers. A couple of weeks later, they took the middle-aged people. They select the middle-aged people with small kids, with whatever age they were, middle age. And they took them to the same railroad station. And they had their cattle trains waiting for them. And they made the people go in with the kids. They had bicycles, they had dolls, they had all kind of things. And they got them into the cattle train. And they closed the door. Without food. They didn't give him no food. They didn't give him nothing to survive. And they shipped them off. And nobody didn't know where they're going. Unfortunately, nobody came back. And by the end, we cleaned up the ghettos. And they took us to the same railroad station. I was from the last one. I was a young man. I wouldn't call it a man. I still was a child. I was 14 and a half years old when I got in to the camp. And they took us to the railroad station. And they done the same thing. They locked the doors. Without food, without anything. And we didn't know where we were going. Nobody did know. But after a while, the train started to move. And we were in the cattle train for 2.5 days. Till we came to the destination. The destination was Auschwitz in Birkenau. You all heard of Auschwitz, Birkenau. Oh, that's a good picture to see. Get very much duplicated. Very much duplicated. You see, that was the cattle trains. So we arrived there. When they opened the door, anybody heard of Joseph Mengele here? Joseph Mengele, he was the doctor of that. He selected who should live and who should die. With his thumb, he selected the people who should go into the camp and who should go in to the gas chambers. He sent 1 million people to the gas chambers. Because every day people used to come, when East European people used to come to Europe, to Auschwitz in Birkenau. It was the biggest camp. That's where they had the gas chambers, the crematoriums every day. Out of 1,000 people, he probably selected 100. Joseph Mengele, the angel of death. And the rest of them, he told them, we're going to resettle you. You're going to take showers. And after you come back, you pick up your belongings. So when they went into the showers, instead of open the water to take showers, they opened the gas. They call it a Cyclone B gas, a special gas, Cyclone B. And they went to the gas chambers, took 10, 15 minutes, everybody was dead. The people, the inmates, who used to do the dirty work, they used to call them the Sonderkommando. They would do the dirty work. And after there was gas, they took them upstairs. Upstairs, they cut off the skin from the dead people and make lampshades. They used to make loaves out of it. If you have a golden teeth, they used to pull them out. It's unbelievable what they done there. How one human being could do it to another one. It's special to small kids. They took them for experimental things. Small kids. Castration. They want to see how they can have twins. All kind of things the doctor's done there. Usually a doctor takes out to help people. Over there the doctors took out to experiment how to kill people. And that's been going on day in and day out. Every day, between 15 and 20,000 people came in to Auschwitz. And they all went to the gas chambers. I've been told that the gas chamber has been so busy. They built special places. They dig. And they put the people who came from the outside, put them in certain places. and they gassed them. Of course, the gas chambers was so busy they couldn't keep up with the human being people. So I was there for 42 till I was liberated. And life was better in Auschwitz. They had bunks, 4 people was laying to a bunks. And every morning when you get up, you could find up, you slept all night long with a dead man. When you went outside, you could see people laying outside. You could see hundreds of people on the electric wires. They didn't want to live anymore. Of course, they know they're not going to survive. And they took away their families, their grandchildren, whatever they had. So they figured they had nothing to live for. So they took their own lives. And the people who used to come from the outside, they really thought they're going to resettle them. They're going to put them to another place. They didn't know they're going to send them to the gas chambers. That's what Engel had done. 1.5 million small innocent kids, young kids, were gassed to death because of their nationality. 1.5 million. In Europe, before the war, they had 10 million people. Only 2 million survived out of 10 million. 8 million, 8 million went to the gas chambers. And they all obeyed Hitler's orders. They didn't demonstrate it like here, what he done, because the whole nation, the whole German nation, were for it. Because if you got a neighbor Jew and he lived near you, you tell him good night. You got up in the morning. You see the building is empty. You would ask, what happened to my neighbors? Where are they? I saw them I told them good night a night before. And now nobody's in the building. And they didn't say nothing. Well, what they done, they occupied the building their neighbor used to live. So that's why they didn't mind at all what they done to the Jews. They were happy because they could move into a bigger building or whatever. And that's why Auschwitz and Birkenau was the deadliest place in the occupation, in the camp. We must all remember what happened and not forget. Should never happen again to anybody, any color, anybody. Because now the young people don't know, they don't know much about it. They don't know much about the Second War. Somebody has to tell them. Somebody has to know. A little thing. That's why me, myself, I've been doing this for 25 years. I go to schools public schools, high school, all over, to remind people what happened and to prevent things like that shouldn't happen. Because that's an inhumane thing. That's the first time in the history what Hitler done. Nobody done this before. What he done. He wanted to erase a certain religion. Why? Nobody knows. But he was a monster. It's impossible. Nobody could control him. He was a crazy man. That's what people say. No, he was not crazy. He knew what he was doing. In the whole German nation, they all guilty. Not the people that were born after the war, but the people before the war. They all know what's been going on. They know the killing. They know the Nazi had some gas chambers. They know everything what happened. And they didn't say nothing. But they all were glad. I should say. I wouldn't say all, but the majority of the Germans before the war, they were all, I guess they were glad to see this. Why do I say this? Because they didn't demonstrate it. They didn't do nothing to let know the government that's inhumane what they done, what they do to the people. In 1942, in 1945, 45, when the Allies start the war with Germany and they came close to the camp, they took all inmates out of the camp. They didn't want them. They didn't want the Allies to find the camps and talk to the inmates. So they emptied the camp, all inmates, and they took them out. And they want to take a dipper into Germany. That's what we call the Dead March. It was 104,000 inmates. We marched in the wintertime. In the wintertime was cold, and we had the shoes, the wooden shoes. You know, the Holland wooden shoes. They were sticking to the snow. And you could see people falling on the snow like flies. Anybody who couldn't keep up, the SS came over and took out the pistol and shot him. When we got to that destination, out of 104,000 inmates, only half survived. And the other half, they couldn't make it. They all got shot, or they died from starvation, or they died from the cold weather. When we got there, They had some cattle trains waiting. Who survived the march, the dead march? They tell them to go back on the cattle trains, and they're going to take us in to further to Germany. And that's what happened. So I was there on the train, on the cattle train. It was an open cattle train, open. It was snowing, and everybody had their mouth open to get something wet. In the train, the cattle train was so packed with people, you couldn't stay one leg. It's impossible to believe you couldn't twist, you couldn't turn, because you had people all over you. And I saw what happened there. I figured I'm not going to survive. I see people dying out like flies on the train. So I figured myself, if it's going to get dark, I'm going to jump the train and escape. I got nothing to lose. If they catch me, they shoot me to death, so what? So I wouldn't have to suffer. And that's what happened. At night time, when things got dark, and the train was going about 55 miles an hour, I said to myself, Joe, that's the time for me to jump the train, escape. If they get me, so like I said before, I got nothing to lose. And I did jump. Luckily, was a pile of snow. And I got into the snow, and I must have lay for 4 or 5 hours inside, because they stopped the train, and they checked, and they looked, and they couldn't find me. So the train started to continue. But after a while, I laid another hour there to make sure no SS, no Gestapo is there. I dig myself out the snow. And where can I go now? You couldn't see nobody there. You couldn't see no young people anymore, because everybody was in the war. Everybody was fighting for Hitler. Well, finally, I find a forest. I got into the forest. And I dig a foxhole with my hand, with my bare hand. And after this, when I fixed the foxhole, I got into it in the daytime. But foxhole alone I wouldn't survive. Take something to eat. At nighttime, I took a chance. But 4 or 5 miles were farmers, and I used to go steal some food. I took a big chance to go steal some food. If everybody would see me, they would kill me. And I was there. I was there about 2 weeks there in the foxhole, in the daytime. And I said, I have to take a chance. I have to tell the man, the one who I stole the food in the warehouse, who I am, because like this I'm not survive anyhow. So finally I had enough courage, because I didn't know if the men going to deport me or not. I had enough courage to tell the man who I am, what I'm doing here. And I told him the whole story. Luckily, the man was a good man. He took me in there. He gave me some food to eat. And he had some connections with the resistance. You know what the resistance is, the underground. And he went to them, he told them, we got a fella here, escaped from Auschwitz. He's a Jew, and he would like to enjoy you, I mean, with the resistance. But they wasn't too fast to take me in. They wanted to find out whatever I said that was true. Took about 2 weeks. Finally, they decided to take me into the resistance. When I was in the resistance, at night time we used to go, if we know a German train passed by with ammunition, we used to shoot them up. We used to go to police stations, shoot up the police and police them. We used to do all kind of things. And thank goodness I was there till I was liberated. And I was liberated by the Red Army. Thank goodness. I've been told General Eisenhower liberated a camp, a concentration camp somewhere. And he got in there. It was a big building. And he went into the building and he saw nothing but skeleton up. The whole building with skeleton, men's skeleton, all over. Because they didn't have no time to cremate him. And he made every available soldier to go in there and see what happened. Thousands of skeletons were stuck, one on top of the other one. The only thing you can recognize the fellas by the bones were sticking out. And they all come in, they all had tears in their eyes. And Eisenhower told him, make sure when you go home, tell everybody what you saw. If you don't tell your neighbor, your family, nobody would know. In this way, if you tell them, they would know. Maybe you could save people, a lot of people that, like this. So that's for the Auschwitz. I could stay and talk hours and hours about Auschwitz. I would like for you to ask me some questions. No charge for the questions, you can answer them.